Hello, this is Steve with the Free Bullion Investment Guide. Today is February 23rd, and I'm doing a review and outlook for silver. This is silver's daily chart, I believe. Yes, it's the daily chart. And last week, in review of last week's video, I had shown you this falling expanding wedge in the price of silver, and silver did, as expected, break above it. It is a positive pattern, which means that the price of silver or any asset that is inside a falling expanding wedge will move downwards until it breaks above the upper trend line of the falling expanding wedge, which the price of silver did last week. In review of what I stated last week, I was mixed bag all over the place, really. I said that I expected silver to break the falling expanding wedge. However, I also said that I expected it to move between the $16 resistance level and the $15.25 support level. It did both, but it more so stayed closer to the $16 resistance level. And in fact, it broke it and touched the $16.20 resistance level and then fell back down. So it did basically move sideways, but with an upward slant, and it really didn't. I said the same thing at the gold chart. If you draw a line, it's basically kind of sideways, but on a slant. But I'm really going to try to get out of hypothesizing how silver is going to move during the week. I'm just simply going to interpret the patterns in the chart and then point out to you the support and resistance levels, and really not try to get into specifics as far as how the price of silver is going to move, because I'm not a fortune teller. I'm not Nostradamus. I can't tell you how exactly it's going to move, and 9 times out of 10 I'm going to be wrong in that hypothesis. So there's really no point in telling you that if I'm just going to be wrong all the time, because I can't tell you what news or the fundamentals are going to happen. So the patterns, about 80% of the time end up being confirmed. There is that 20% of when they aren't, but most definitely, I'm just going to try to stick with showing you the patterns in the chart and try to get out of forecasting how exactly the precious metal is going to move. So to get to the outlook for silver, what the price pattern that I see in the price of silver now is actually a negative pattern. The falling expanding wedge was confirmed, and we can remove that. And now I see a rising wedge. Yeah, that's basically it right there. And I had written it over here. So we have a rising wedge in the price of silver now, which is a negative pattern. So the price of silver is expected to fall below this bottom trend line of the rising wedge. So we can most likely see it trade between the 16.20 level and the 15.25. I really doubt it's going to fall to 15.25. More likely the support level of 15.50 will hold before the price of silver even touches 15.25. But we'll see what happens in the future. Also, real quick, just to overview the reason why silver moved in the direction it did. It moved up because of a lot of uncertainties in the trade deal. However, about midweek, we heard that the vice president of China was going to go over and see Trump on Friday. And we also heard that that Trump and President Xi are expected to meet in March to finalize the trade deal. So that brought some selling pressure to silver as well as profit taking. And then really what helped it move back up was the accommodative Fed minutes that were released later in the week. So that is the reason behind silver's movement last week, at least in my interpretation. And as I just noted, we have a rising wedge in the price of silver, so we can likely see it break it to the downside sometime in the future. It could trade inside of it for a little while before it breaks, but it looks like the next week I'll be talking about the break to the downside with the rising wedge. Could be wrong. We'll see what happens. I look forward to speaking to you again next weekend. Thank you for your time. Take care, and God bless.